And now, it's the Finding Your Spine podcast with host Chase Spears.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Finding Your Spine podcast, where we call men and women of moral principle to live and lead boldly for the truth. I'm in studio today with a good buddy of mine, Kirsten Workman. Thanks for coming. Welcome to the show.
Chase. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
You know, looking at you, you're such a mild-mannered, kind person who just exudes this calmness and this, dare I say, sweetness. And
well, thank
and
you.
yet, like, you also have like a set of boxing gloves you seem to wear.
Get a
like,
little bit, yeah,
you're a little bit,
a little feisty,
a little feisty.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely in the fight.
Yes, most definitely. Yes.
on two fronts. Not only you're fighting, as a member of a school board, and you're fighting against the industry of death.
That's right.
And so taking on a two-front war here.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
I love it. I'm a big admirer, and just so grateful for the stuff that you do. And I've just been thinking for weeks now, I've got to get Kirsten on. And so I'm really glad when I asked, you said yes.
Well, I'm very honored to be here, so I appreciate that invitation.
Yeah, of course. So let me tell those of us listening or watching a little bit about you. Kirsten is first off an amazing Christian, a wife, a mother, until recently an Army wife as
That's
well.
right,
Guy
yes.
did how many years?
Oh gosh, I think it was 23, 24 when he was all said and done. Probably 23, if I remember right. So,
Long time.
yes, he's been retired about almost 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Traveling the nation, moving around, raising a family on the road.
Yes, yeah, a little bit.
And now you're along the way. You became a registered nurse,
I did, yes.
and so you have a lot of medical expertise, and you're also a member of the Lansing USD 469 Board of Education, which we will be getting to.
Yes.
You sit there with our good buddy Amy Calvi.
That's right. She's a good friend and mentor. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology from the College of William and Mary in Virginia. That's a nice school.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without peers.
And you have a master's in nursing with a focus on nursing education from the University of Texas at Arlington.
Right.
And you've been practicing nursing since 2009.
Yes.
Well, that's been a little while.
Yes. There's been a couple gaps in here for PCS moves with the military, but yeah,
Okay.
pretty
And then
consistent.
You taught nursing as well.
I did. I taught for about 3 years full time, and then a little bit adjunct for a little while before. So about 4 years.
Okay. I bet that was fun.
It was. I really enjoyed it. It was a way to give back to a profession that's done quite a bit for me, and it was an honor to be a part of that as well.
Yeah. Thank God for nurses. My cousin is a ER nurse, and the stories she tells me.
Wow. Oh, I always wanted to make it to the ER. I never did. I was just in med-surg, working hard in med-surg, but ER is so exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the stories she told me were not dull. They were,
Definitely.
they were not dull. I was like, wow, not only do I not have the gut for it, I don't have the patience for it. Anyways, down in Florida, some wild people came in, apparently. I don't know. But anyways, you're also a lifelong patriot. You're big into volunteering. You love serving the community.
I do.
And you've been homeschooling since 2020.
Yes.
Oh man,
yes.
that year just keeps coming up in conversations about
Doesn't
courage.
it?
It's amazing. It's like something happened and there was a tipping point, and
You're right. You're right about that.
yeah, and you also serve women who are choosing life at the Sparrow Women's Clinic just down the road from us in Lansing.
That's been a great place to volunteer my time. Yeah.
Yeah, they just do such great work.
It's a great women's clinic.
You've got to put in a word with Patty.
I will.
You've gotta
Oh,
put in a
yes.
word
I'm going to
for
see her
Patty.
tomorrow, so I will tell her.
I want her on the show.
She would be fantastic. She would be
Could be
fantastic.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
will make the pitch for you tomorrow, or
All
the
right.
pre-pitch, I guess. You'll do the pitch after I do the pre. Yeah.
It's on the record
soften her
now.
up.
It's on the record now. You
Yeah.
can't get away from it.
Yeah,
Patty,
she's
we're coming
coming
for
for
you.
you.
Coming for you. Ah, gosh. Well, this is going to be fun. You're just an amazing rounded person.
Thank you.
I wanted
Tell
to
me more.
tell me. Yeah, well,
I'm just kidding.
and you smell nice too.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
well.
you.
So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about 2020 and how that changed things for you. I mean, you were going along in life, and I don't really know you pre-2020, right? But I know that in our discussions over the years, like that has come up as a consistent theme, that there was something big that changed in your life and how you understood things that really drew you out of almost one chapter of service in life into an entirely new chapter of service that's, dare I say, much more warrior mentality.
I think that's a good way of articulating what happened in 2020. And so I was living my life, being a mom, being an Army wife and a mom, and teaching. And then everything shut down. Well, I remember when COVID happened in, January is when we started hearing about it. And then everything shut down in March. And I thought, well, this will be a fun couple of weeks. We'll, see this play out. But by the end of the first week, I started questioning, the legitimacy of what was happening. Nothing made sense. Science didn't seem to be science. At least the science that I knew and loved was not really a thing anymore. We were just marching toward totalitarianism. And so I gradually started to wake up. Had made a decision to homeschool my middle child the year before, actually, just wondering, what she needed, how I could best meet her academic needs that weren't being met in the public school. And then so we finished out that year for her. And that summer my dad passed away, and that was life-changing. But I started becoming more and more politically involved because of the mask mandates and what I saw coming, which was going to be the vaccine mandates. So I started fighting on that front. My daughter was a senior in high school, and there was a very objectionable unit, 6 weeks long, in a required English course. It was required in order for her to graduate, and it was 6 weeks of social justice, is what the name of the unit was, but it was really 6 weeks of leftist indoctrination and Marxism. So I objected to that, and that launched quite a lot of a lot of, I don't even have the words for it, just a lot of anger in the community. I tried to navigate that system like a mild-mannered, polite, civil adult, saying, I'm not sure this is right for our family or my child, and what can we do here? And I was just met with a lot of stonewalling, which I'm not good on stonewalling. I'm very persistent. And so that led to the curriculum challenge, and things just sort of fell into place. The community was there's a lot of ire, and but in the end, it woke me up to what was happening in public schools. I decided to be a part of trying to fix that and being a voice for parents, and ultimately wound up running for the school board. And here I am. And
here you are. Now, if I remember correctly, there were also some issues you noticed, not just in the school system there in Lansing, Kansas, but up the road on base as well.
Yes. So my youngest daughter. Before my husband retired, we were stationed here for just 1 year, and we still love the on-post school at Fort Leavenworth. We attended, our daughters attended Eisenhower, and so my youngest was there for a while, and as I watched, what was happening with COVID, and the children were being masked all the time, and they had to sit at their desks all day, and they couldn't go out on the playground, and so that took a toll on my youngest, and I wasn't going to impose a mask on her for another year. And so I started that fight there. We had an exemption from a provider. It was challenged, and there was a lot of bureaucratic pushback. Eventually, we won in the end. But I had decided by that point in time, we were homeschooling our middle child already, and I said, this is working out well. I think this will be good for my youngest. And so we had decided the next year we were going to homeschool her, and it's been great ever since. I would never go back.
Yeah. I was raised homeschooled from fourth grade on. We've homeschooled all of our kids. I can't imagine any other way.
Yes, I wish I had seen it for its value sooner.
It's great. And there's a lot of great stuff happening in Christian schools and classical Christian education.
Most definitely.
But what a blessing homeschooling has been for us as an option.
Oh, yeah.
And just about anything but public school.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Anything. I was one of the things I said to my dad before he passed. It was one of our last conversations. I said, "Don't worry, Dad. I'm homeschooling her next year too." And I knew that meant a lot. He couldn't speak at that time, but I knew that meant a lot to him to know, that that's where we were going to go. So, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
I hope more people do it.
Oh, I do too. I do too. Well, and I saw the statistics. The last I looked, it was roughly 6% of Americans homeschool, which is significantly bigger than when I was a kid, but nearly double that on average in the military.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which was kind of surprising to me as well. I guess it shouldn't have been, because I've come across a lot of homeschooling families in the ranks. It's just easier for continuity of education when you're moving. But boy, it's been a blessing to us. So you in 2020 you decided to become a homeschooling mom, and you also decided to run for school board.
It might have been the next year after that, but that's when I started being very active, attending school board meetings when my daughter was a high school student in Lansing. And so I started attending just because of the mask mandates. I thought it was so terrible for children. And then I learned quite a lot at the meetings. And then by the following year, I said, I think I can make a difference. And I've been blessed by public school. I believe in public education. I firmly believe what's best for my children is homeschooling, but I've been blessed to be able to homeschool, and not a lot of families have that option. And so I wanted to make a difference for the kids who are still there. They deserve, I think they deserve better than what they're getting. And so I'd like to be a part of helping with that. So I decided to run.
Now how, I got to ask, and I watched the campaign, but I want to hear from your perspective. Like, how was that received? You're a homeschooling mom.
Oh, well, initially I got do you have a child in the district? And at that time I actually did. I had a senior. But it was definitely questioned. How dare you? You shouldn't. And you've experienced some of that. I've seen at a school board meeting.
Yeah.
You have no business having an opinion on public school.
How dare you show up and speak about tax policy? You don't have a kid in the district. It's like, well, get your hands on my pocket, and then we can have that discussion.
I said that's similar to what I would say is, if I wasn't a stakeholder, then you would be absolutely right. But about half of my property taxes go to the district, and I want to be a part of that. So good luck pushing me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a weird fallacy to me.
Yes,
you reference
not very democratic.
Singing. Yeah, I mean, there's this one time I was at that one meeting, and a lady came out and aggressively told me in the parking lot how wrong I was to have shown up to a school board meeting, because she knows I don't have kids in the district. And first off, I thought, well, how do you know me?
Yeah, right.
I don't know how you know me, because I've never heard of you. And two, I'm paying thousands of dollars to this thing.
Yes.
And
funding
they were having a meeting with these where the main topic was, should we increase taxes?
Take more money?
Like,
yes, yeah.
I mean, the fallacy that is something that citizens shouldn't have a right to speak about taxation. It seems we had a little thing in the 1700s about that.
I think so. Yeah. Taxation and representation.
Yeah.
Something about that. Right. I know. And that usually when you kind of point that out, people will walk away. They'll still keep repeating that because it does get people riled up. It's an emotional statement. But I say, okay, well, let's change the law so that I don't have to contribute. And then you can legitimately say we don't have a voice. But
yeah. And then it just get angrier.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's frustrating, and I won't go down that rabbit trail. I'll be good. So you run for school board, and you run a slate of conservatives on this going in this election, and you were the one.
Yes.
You were the one of four
who
pulled it off.
Yes. And to this day, I just attribute that to God alone. I don't know what his plan was for why I made it, and the other conservatives I ran with did not, but that was his will for my life. And, we lost the majority because of that. So we had a conservative majority before I was running. And then just the way that the outcome turned out, we were no longer a conservative majority on the board when I took office. So.
And so,
here we are.
Yeah, I don't know what you were expecting or thinking, or if you had any thoughts about whether you'd be in the majority or the minority going in. I know it's always a roll of dice, but you go in day one and immediately you're outnumbered. It's 3 conservative women against 4 hardcore left-wing men.
It's been like
day
3-4,
yeah.
3-4. Yeah,
Day
I think we
one,
have 2 progressives and 2 guys who are maybe pitch themselves as more moderate, but they really do vote with the progressives. That's their voting record. And so, yeah, it's been 3-4 quite a bit. Sometimes we'll vote, on certain issues. The vote will change a little bit, but the ladies usually. We don't always win the vote, but gosh, we do make a difference. So I want to encourage folks who are running or thinking about making a difference in their community. I remind myself of this almost every day, that God doesn't need a majority to make his will happen. And so you can be a part of that as our friend Vanessa is on the school board, or when you have the majority. So,
Amen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amen to that. Mm-hmm. So life could have been, dare I say, easier.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, you and Guy have moved around the Army for 24 years. You've been raising daughters. It could have been really easy to say, okay, well, now is our time. Guy's retired, and we're kind of off the move cycle, and we're down to 1 at home. And now I can, relax a little bit, devote more time and energy into things that I just enjoy, that maybe you put off for many years, maybe put down some roots, take it easy. And that's not what you've done.
No, I think, for sure. I think when he retired, our intention was for him to kind of settle. We love the area. We do love Lansing. And so we were going to settle down. He was going to find a civilian job. He wanted to do something totally different than the military. And I was going to start teaching. And so then it was, okay, well, I can teach and also homeschool. It's challenging, right? And so I said, okay, well, we'll just homeschool for a little bit longer. And then COVID happened, and I, just became, I think the patriot in me woke up. And so I grew up very patriotic as Army wife. We lived to serve, really. And so that was awakened in me. And I think God was working in me anyway, through my church and my own spiritual life to know where my freedom really comes from. And that was COVID was a very frightening time, because you could see all this stuff happening, unfolding in front of you. And it's like we're in the Twilight Zone. Like, why people are talking about the contract tracing, and some people need to belong in a camp, basically, because they're not complying with what was being rolled out on all of us. And so it was very unsettling, and I was afraid. And then and then January 6th, and it was a scary time, but God was working to abolish that fear that I had, where I was almost ranking my individual freedom above, what matters most, which is our salvation and where our help and freedom come from. And so I learned, once I was set free of that fear of losing my freedom, I just walked into a place in my life where I've never felt so free. And so volunteering is a way to devote myself to that, and to try and do the Lord's will in our community, because I think we're supposed to do that. Sometimes we're so busy working the 40-hour work week, and if I can just get to this next point in life, things will be easier. And then I realized, gosh, I'm in my 40s. It's not getting any easier. And if I slow down now, we could lose everything, and our children won't know the freedom that I've enjoyed. And so I just started, fighting the mask mandates and the COVID vaccine, and if you call it, I don't like to call it a vaccine, but
I call it the shot.
I call it gene therapy.
Yeah.
But yes, and so
the correct medical term. Yes.
Yeah. And then I think education is where God had already started working my life to take me there, and so it seemed a natural fit. I knew a lot about teaching just because my education, and I had been teaching for a little while, and I could see that college students were missing something, that they needed. And it led me to, okay, well, where are they not getting it? Where should they get this? They should be getting this at public school, or their private school or homeschool, wherever it is, but they're missing something. And so let's find out where that is. And once you start asking questions about a system that is established and powerful and has your child for 12 to 13 years for most of the year, most of the day, don't ask too many difficult questions or people will get unhappy, And I think that year, just 2020, I thought, okay, there's nothing wrong with asking, and I'm going to keep asking, and I'm going to find out why, and I'm going to fight to make it better, because our children we owe that to them.
We do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we think about that nearly enough, about the fact that these freedoms that we have are entrusted to us. We didn't earn them.
That's right.
I didn't fight a Revolutionary War. My daddy didn't. My grandpa didn't. I mean, trace that thing way back to the 1700s. Those are the guys who fought.
Yes.
Right? And that has been maintained and passed down since.
Yes.
And like every one of us are handed the torch. And I don't think we spend nearly enough time thinking about the fact that like we owe it to those who came before to keep that thing lit and then hand it down.
You're right.
And we have been so afraid of, but I might lose my status.
That's right.
But someone might not like me. But I mean there's a myriad of excuses, and I think most of them probably go back to status and a fear of one losing their income probably.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think back to, I want to say it was Jefferson had the quote, forgive me if I'm getting in the wrong person here, but someone who would prefer security over liberty deserves neither.
Yes, I think was that Benjamin Franklin?
Was it Franklin?
I don't know. It might have been. My daughter told it to me the other day, and I went, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you."
There's going to be an American historian very ashamed of me.
You'll look it up after. It's going to hit you later.
I'm going to look it up, and I will either be like, I got it right, or I'll be tremendously embarrassed, and it'll be in the comments.
If I got it wrong, I'm going to be super embarrassed because it's on my refrigerator, and that's how my daughter knows. And so that's one little thing. It's like, we need to pass this idea on that safety and security and comfort are not the most important thing.
No.
We're blessed to have it and enjoy it, and we should appreciate it and work for it, but it is not what matters most.
They're nice to have.
Yes.
For sure. I mean, I was downstairs in the gym the other day. We have a basement gym at home because I hate getting in a car and going to a gym down the road. And our homeschool room is right next door to it. And so Laura was down there reading to the girls, and this book she was reading was about the Jamestown colony. And it was a first-hand perspective from this one little girl whose mother had died, and all these other people had died, and they were just like debating whether or not they were going to even abandon the colony and move elsewhere because of just the amount of loss and death.
Yes.
I mean, and those people knew hardship, and yet they persevered. I mean, the people who settled the nation, they knew hardship.
Yes.
And yet they persevered. And
they knew death wasn't the end.
Yes.
We fear death too much now because we think that's the end. I think our Western civilization, because we've edged God out of the picture, we just are so afraid of losing our lives that we don't realize there's an afterlife, that this isn't our permanent home, and there is something greater than what we're doing right now that we're heading toward. But yeah, if you don't have that, you're so afraid. That's the ultimate, that's the big lose right there. Once you lose your life, it's over.
Yeah, you have to get everything you can right now because it's this
TikTok
fatalistic mentality that comes from a lack of understanding of eternal things. I mean, like we the living in this time, like I'm sure you've heard, like being on the right side of history and the arc of history, and everything is settled, and it's almost like we are the end of history. Like everything has led to this point. Now we are the enlightened ones, and we are the ones who have got it all figured out. And those silly bumpkins who lived before us knew nothing. Maybe a handful of philosophers excluded, and we are but a blip on the historical radar.
That's
whose
right.
tombstones will one day wash away like everyone else's.
That's right.
And the world will go on.
Yes. Yeah.
And what do we do? Like, I hope, should the Lord tarry 100, 200, 300, 400, 1,000 years from now, people would look back and say, okay, they almost lost it then. They got really close,
Right.
but they pulled it back.
That's what I pray for every day is, can we turn the tide of that and slow the progression of evil just a little bit for the next generation? That's a good thing to work for.
It sure is.
And our pastor just mentioned, he just finished a series in Genesis, and he was talking about all those genealogies that we tend to skip over when we're reading, and because it's like, what is this? And the point that he made, which was really struck me, was that this is proof of God's perfect timing and his 100% perfect plan, which stretches thousands of years beyond our comprehension previously and thousands of years from now, or whatever his will is. But we think what matters now is what matters now in this 20, 50, 100 years that we get here or in this moment. But really, he's working everything, every little thing. And it just made me realize, wow, he really is planning everything.
Yeah, it's an entirely different kind of peace that you can have when you realize God is sovereign, God is in control. I heard this great quote the other day. Once you completely fear God, you stop fearing men.
Everything else,
right?
Yes.
And to realize, okay, God's hand was there at the beginning, and God's hand was at the timing of the flood. And Galatians 4:4, in the fullness of time, Christ was sent into the world. And you read to the end of the book, and there is God's hand in all things.
Yes.
And our job here as Christians in this context, the victory is not ours. The victory is the Lord's, and we know from Scripture it's going to get a lot worse.
Yes,
that's clear.
Guess we haven't reached our full measure yet.
Yeah, but we're still called to steward. We're still called to labor. We're still called to point people to the truth.
Yes,
and I think that's so lost, even among a lot of people in the church today. But they might call me a name, or they may not like me.
It's hard at first, and it's shocking. And I've grown up. I can get along with anybody. Super nice, super, super nice. And, but yeah, that's really hard. But once you get past that, people, when they see the God in you, or they want to fight against the God that's in you, and things get pretty ugly, at least for United States 2020s, ugly. In other parts of the world, this is just laughable. What we kind of go through is this hard social punishment for questioning the narrative or the authority. It's painful for us. But once you get past, if you pray and you're talking to God about it, and you're still making sure that you're doing what he wants you to do, it gets so much, it doesn't even bother me anymore. Like I've been called all sorts of things, usually online, because people don't have much nerve to say it to your face. But it does hurt. It does. And it started when I started campaigning. So that was 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's just it's almost amusing, just because I know that, okay, you don't know me, and you don't know what I'm doing, and I belong to God, and so you can't hurt me, and it's nice because it kind of pushes away all that noise and lets you get to the business of what you're supposed to be accomplishing. So I've got to say, I love seeing on Facebook that a lot of your critics like to come for you there. Yes. Yep.
They just love you and Amy so much.
I know. Yeah.
And that's the exact, what you just said a moment ago, that's the exact tone you take with them. If you don't know me, if you would actually listen to what I am saying, you would see
we'd have common ground.
Yeah, we have common ground. I'm guessing it's very few of them are willing to say, "Oh, I didn't know that." Let's. Yeah. I mean, or do you find any of them are swayed, or is it just people who want to sound off?
There's a couple of times I thought to myself, they would not say so, but I thought to myself, I think I might have reached them or maybe touched something in them. But and I almost always offer, hey, if you want, if you are a Lansing resident, I represent you, I will happily meet you and let's talk. And because I want to hear what you have to say. And maybe you can find out that maybe I'm not quite the devil's worker, is what, they just kind of, wow, you get vilified really quickly. I've only had 2 people take me up on it. I've probably offered that at least a dozen times. And one was both of them were pretty good conversations. It's just a way to start. It lets people know that I'm for real. I'm here. I'm not going to misrepresent myself or pretend that we agree, but we can certainly sit and have coffee and figure out what's best for our students in this community and work toward that. Most people aren't interested in that.
And I'm willing to bet those two people who took you up on it and met you face to face spoke entirely different languages than they spoke in social media.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. One, I don't know their social media presence. I'm not a big social media person. I only joined Facebook when I decided to run for office. Everybody said, "Oh, you have to. You have to have a Facebook account." And I was really resistant. So I miss a lot of the nuances of communicating online that way. But one, so I don't know what she was, that person was like or is like online. The other one, definitely, I think it made a difference in the way that we communicate with each other because we talk regularly for work. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're able to build some bridges there.
Yeah. That's a win.
It's a win. It's not not always an easy thing, and it takes two people to do it.
Yes, it sure does.
I've noticed that some of my critics who are willing to talk with me, most often, if they're willing to engage in this format, we can walk away shaking hands.
Yes.
But it's like it's just so important the technology is great for the ability to communicate and to spread a message for good, and it's also bad for evil. But boy, there's a downside in terms of sometimes forgetting that the person on the other end of the screen also is endowed with the Imago Dei.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because God has used that, and I think to myself, okay, I have to go sit for 45 minutes and listen to this person tell me all the things they don't like about me and who I am and what I'm doing. But during that time, I walk away from that exchange reminded and humbled by the fact that God loves them just as much as me and died for them too. And I think it's important to keep doing that so that we stay humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to go back and touch on one thing. I want to draw out your medical expertise a bit.
I don't know if it's expertise, but we'll give it a shot.
More than I've got, I think. We pretty consistently beat the drum on this series about how COVID was so mismanaged, just because there's so much persecution that's come out of that,
Sure.
and that has been such a sifter, if you will, from wheat to chaff, or a furnace, if you will, for separating the gold from the other elements. And so it's a place where we've really seen people who have moral fortitude and moral courage versus those who lack those things or have it in lower capacities. And you talked a little bit to me one-on-one a while back about the medical industry. And so I saw the military just collapse entirely on it. There have been many other elements of society. The press, which I'm also close to, they just hook, line, and sinker one narrative, and that's it. And if you even ask a question, you're one of those nasty deniers or tinfoil hat wearing things, right?
Yeah.
And the medical industry, which is what you're close to. What in the world caused them to just fold to this and act with insult at anyone just asking basic questions?
I have asked myself that question many times over the last 5 years because it broke my heart to watch so many folks I look up to, just the field itself. I have a servant's heart, and just to watch, things that we were taught in nursing school, they didn't seem to matter anymore. Informed consent, advocating for the patient, education. None of that seemed to matter anymore. It was just mask. And then I realized the mask, the masks that were sold and widely available, that is no benefit. And in my assessment, previous public health information revealed that it's not how you treat a pandemic like this. But the mask became a placeholder for the vaccine. If we can keep this literally in front of everyone's faces for the next, 9 months or a year, however long it took to roll that out, it'll still be super, super important that everybody get that vaccine. So I think it was just a placeholder for the vaccine to keep us all in line until they could roll this out. And I was sad to see, the idea of informed consent, that people know what they're saying yes to, didn't matter. And the ability to just to say no thank you was just, I don't know that, I still struggle with that. When I look at the medical profession or the health, public health, all of it, I just wonder why, just how did we get here?
Yeah, I got to tell you, one of my suspicions, pharmaceutical industry
money?
has a tremendous amount of sway and a tremendous profit motive.
Yes. Yeah. And
I dare
we
I
love
say
our safety.
I think we love our safety, we love our status, and I know there are financial incentives in the physician pay system for what you recommend, what you don't, what you prescribe, what you don't.
Yeah. It became I think somewhere along the way we lost that recommendation, and they sort of started owning the science as, we're funding all the studies. Well, you know what's going to happen when that, that's just common sense, right? But we wound up diverging, and science, I'm still sad. Sometimes I miss science. And I always think, I trust the science. And I went, well, yeah, you can trust science, real science, that's because it's a measurement of God's purpose in the world, or how he's working. That's how we measure it and can see proof of it. But the science, that's bought and paid for and marketed, that's not science. I think people lost the ability to recognize the difference somewhere. I don't know how that happened.
I think back to, George Washington's day. The idea for how you cured someone was you bled them. You just continued to cut, because if you get enough of the blood out, the virus is in the blood, and of course that led to a lot of people literally being bled out. Right, and that was top medical science at that point in time, and not because physicians had malintent. It's what they thought at that point in time, and then.
Yes.
We have seen they've learned things, and they've learned things, and they've learned things. And I got to think, like 100 years from now, there will be people looking back and be like, well, there was the bloodletting. Right?
You know what, though? But they can doubly scold us, I think, because we turned our back on so many things that we have learned along the way, like hand washing. And if you're going to wear a mask, it needs to work like this. It needs to be, if you actually want it to stop a virus from coming through, it needs to be it needs to be impenetrable by a virus, and not just like a piece of mesh or whatever, or a piece of fabric. But we turned our back on what we knew to be true.
Well, and even on the mask thing, I saw a lot of places referred to them not as masks, face coverings.
Oh, that's a little chilling, isn't it?
I mean, think of the anthropological implications of that. Where not just a mask, face covering. I saw that on so many signs. I read that in so much literature. Make sure you have your face covering. And I was like, that is chilling.
It is. You're right. I never made that correlation. I just looked at it all as like, why are you forcing me to cover my face? And I could see the effect of it, particularly in children. They need to see the faces. It's part of their communication. It's part of their, speech development and security. And it's such a barrier, a psychological barrier to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I remember thinking, I cannot believe I'm living to see this.
It was a time of mass dehumanization.
Yeah.
I think
I go back to C.S. Lewis so much of the time. And the abolition of man. Right, and they're just, we have been warned about this stuff. We've been warned about it, and we
keep doing it. We keep messing that up.
Maybe we should start reading some books again.
A little bit,
One's not written by Robin DiAngelo. Gosh, we're coming up here close on time. I probably need to start winding this down. Let me kind of get into, you ran for school board in a tough time. You question things. You're not afraid to question things,
right?
That are sociologically kind of sacred. How dare you, right? You're willing to walk up to sacred cows and kind of poke at them, rightfully. And there are a lot of people who weren't. And I think to people like you, I think to people like Amy, I think it's almost kind of like a duh, I don't know what else to do, right? This is how we're wired. But like, what is it that makes you stand firm and do that when there's so many other people that say, hey, I don't want the attention, I don't want to be called bad names at the school board meeting, I don't want this, I don't want that. I mean, you've dealt with all that stuff.
It's truth. The truth has to win. It will win. It will win. It's just the more people you can get to see it, the better off they will be if they can see the truth. And so persevere. I've learned to be very perseverant throughout my life in general, but the fear part, that really got me in the very beginning, just because I'm such a nice person. I've had such a blessed and wonderful life, and people are nice, and I'm nice, and everybody's nice. But once you get past that fear of being canceled, and I don't mean to say that lightly, because I could step out of that because of God and because I have a husband who supported me, and it didn't matter. I wasn't the sole provider of a family. I didn't care about my reputation because I'm a principled person and an upstanding person, but I knew that the liars don't win, and that the Lord would protect me if I followed what He was asking me to do. And so I wasn't afraid of that, but I don't want to underestimate just the support of my husband. I didn't have to worry about, am I going to get fired? If I didn't have to fear that. So it's harder for folks who do, but to not have that, to be free to go and that's what I thought. I thought, I was talking to my husband, you fought in this war. You worked so, I'm talking about GWAT and all that from years and years ago, but you worked so hard. You set everything aside. I think God is calling me to this fight, just like I supported you. Will you support me? And 100%. He was always, go get them, go do it, because we know what the truth is, and more people need to wake up and at least be given the opportunity to see more of it, and then make up their own minds who they're going to follow and what they're going to do. But yeah, the truth has to win. And if we're working for it, to show it to others, then that's what God wants us to do.
Yeah. And the example that you're setting for your daughters as well.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And being a one of the voices of reason in this school system that is fighting reason
it's devouring our children. The system is devouring them, their potential, their future hope. It's even taking away their joy, in many ways. I'm not speaking about 99% of the teachers out there who work so hard I'm just talking about the system in itself. But yeah, it is. Our kids deserve to see us fighting for them to make it better. They need that, because it's tougher out there than when I was growing up. I know most people agree with that, but they need to see us standing for the truth and standing for what's right, so that they can learn how to do it themselves, because it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah. I mean, just knowing that someone will have your back. I mean, we had Kadron Sullivan on recently. I mean, and she talked about the fact that these ideologies have.
Is that the teacher?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
I started listening, and it's earmarked. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
But I can't wait to finish.
It'll be a great listen on your ride home. And she talked about how these ideologies have just made it to where even teachers are afraid to talk to each other, and kids are afraid to have conversations out loud because, well, what if you say something that goes against what is in the curriculum or challenges an idea? And don't we in the same breath say, well, we want positive work environments? Then why would you bring this in and display what creates toxic, divisive environments to kids?
It's modeling terrible ideas. It squelches their potential. I'll never succeed because I look like this, or I come from this, and if I succeed, it doesn't mean anything. It's because it was handed to me. I mean, what a hopeless pack of lies that they're selling to our kids. And parents are out there working so hard. A lot of times they don't realize that the public school system now is not what it was 20 years ago, and that wasn't what it was 40 or 60 years ago. It is not the same. So we need to be paying attention to what they're selling our kids.
We do. Couple more questions here, things that I just saw in my notes that we didn't get to, but they're really important. The power of community. You've got a group that affectionately calls themselves the Girl Squad.
Yes.
I mean, just
Mhm.
let's talk about the importance of people. There are probably people like you across the nation
Mm-hmm.
who may be in isolation. Well, I mean,
Yes.
let's talk about the importance of what that's been like for you, having sisters to join arms with.
It has been, it's made a world of difference. To know, gosh, the number one benefit is to fight. It helps you fight the gaslighting, right? Like, you can only be called a racist so many times before you're like, what, really? And you start to wonder, or the stuff that the stuff that the left puts out there that's so misguided and so just flat out wrong, and you think, am I missing something? That there's so education in particular is owned by the left, and so you start to wonder, am I missing something? Am I messed up? Did I miss something here? And so having other folks who are not just like-minded but willing to challenge those ideas with you and challenge each other, it makes us better when we go to articulate them in whatever work we're doing, whether that's public office or something else. It makes us better at articulating that, but also it just lifts you up and makes you more confident, and that is difficult. I would say that's an area a lot of women struggle with, is confidence, to speak out and be a leader. It's not always easy, but having other women who are going through that too has been critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an article written by a friend of mine, Josh Bowman, about the importance of relationships as an oasis.
Yes.
And the oasis being a place from which you can build courage and you can build the virtues needed to do this kind of work. That's
a good way of saying it, to build the virtue that you need, because the virtue is what matters, and you've got to find a group of people who are going to help you build that, because it's like a muscle. You have to strengthen it, and that's why who you hang out with matters so much. You need to find people who will help you build those muscles.
Oh yeah, isn't that like the old saying, birds of a feather fly together? You want to know who you'll be, look around at who you surround yourself with.
It's true. Yeah.
Makes all the difference in the world. Golly, this is fun. I could go on for like another hour, but I probably shouldn't.
It's enjoyable.
It is.
Fun.
What else? What would you say to, someone out there who they agree with everything you've said, and maybe they even see in their own school district they need to get involved, but they're concerned. They're afraid. They don't want the attention. They don't want the gaslighting. They don't want the hate group on Facebook. What would you say?
Oh gosh, if God is calling you to it, just say yes, because it is the best. It's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, to go ahead and step out in that. I know the panic of getting up at a podium and using your 2 minutes of public comment, but remember that this country is a gift from God, and our freedoms are, it is a gift to live in a country that is forced to recognize our freedoms. Take ownership of your government. Local government really matters so much, and just know that you belong there. As many people as would tell you otherwise, you don't belong here, and here's all the long list of reasons why you shouldn't be allowed to speak up or act out to make a change. Just ignore that, and if you're following what God is calling you to do, it gets so much easier. Oh my gosh, I used to get heart palpitations and dry mouth, and that all goes away with practice, and God will give you what you need to fight that fight. So it's hard holding the line. It's really worth it, but gosh, we do need more Christians out there who are willing to help us hold the line. So if you're thinking about it, please pray about it and consider it. We need you. We do.
We need more soldiers in the fight. That is absolutely for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're one of them.
Oh, thanks, Chase. You too.
It's our duty. It's our calling,
It is,
and I dare say it's our honor.
It is an honor.
And so it's fun watching you. I'm grateful for you,
Thanks.
especially as one of your constituents. And it's fun to watch you and the team in the fight. And I know you can do a lot of other things with your time. So I appreciate that you're willing to invest the season into this fight, because it's so critical.
It is, yeah. It's the kids. It matters. It does.
Sure does.
Yeah.
It sure
Well, it's an
does.
honor to be here, and thank you for having me. Thank you for telling these stories. I have listened to most of your podcasts, and they are all inspiring stories that need to be told. And so I think we all need to hear them. So thanks for that.
Oh, it's an honor,
Keep it up.
and I appreciate you listening, and
Yeah.
I'll keep going as long as they'll have me. So.
Excellent. Okay.
All right, well, that wraps up another episode of Finding Your Spine podcast. To learn more about the Herzog Foundation and the amazing work that they do to catalyze Christian education nationwide, head on over to herzogfoundation.com. If you're curious about me and my other work, go check out chasespears.com. Here on this podcast, I try to bring you stories and people who are in the fight, who are doing it, who are getting it done, so you don't have any excuse. But it's up to you to put these principles into action. It's up to you to find your spine. So let's get to it. I'm Chase Spears. Thanks for listening.
Remember to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you next time on Finding Your Spine.